Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video. Today I will explain about Kingdom Monera in detail starting from the basics. So let's get started. Kingdom Monera is known as the world of bacteria and these are present everywhere around us. They're present in the soil, water and the atmosphere, and even they're present in the extreme conditions such as hot springs, cold temperatures, salty areas, etc. Let's study the detailed classification of bacteria on the basis of shape. They are of following types. The first type is the cocci. Cocci means they're spherically shaped. Second type is bacilli, that means they're rod-shaped bacteria. Third type, they can be of vibrios, that is comma-shaped bacteria. Fourth type is spirilla, that means they're spirally shaped bacteria. The fifth type is spirochetes, that is the filamentous shaped bacteria. Let's discuss each one of these in detail. Moving on to spherical shaped bacteria, the first one, diplococci, that means two cocci shaped bacteria are attached together. The second one, streptococci, number of cocci shaped bacteria are attached together in a linear manner. The third type is the staphylococci, that means a group of bacteria are attached together in an irregular pattern. The fourth type is the tetrad. It consists of 4 cocci bacteria attached together. The second major type is the rod-shaped bacteria. The first type under this is chain of bacilli, that is rod-shaped bacteria attached together from end to end in a linear manner. The second type is the flagellate rods, that means a bacteria containing flagella. The third type are the bacteria that produce spores. These are called as spore former rod-shaped bacteria. The example is Clostridium botulinum. The fourth type of bacteria is the vibrio. These are the comma-shaped bacteria. The fifth type is spirilla. That is, they're spirally shaped bacteria, they contain flagella. And the next type of bacteria is spirochetes. They are filamentously shaped bacteria. Now let's study the classification of bacteria. They are broadly classified as archaebacteria and eubacteria. First we'll study about archaebacteria in detail. Archaebacteria are present in the extreme conditions such as hot, cold temperatures, salty areas and marshy areas. These bacteria differ from the other bacteria in terms of their cell wall structure and compositions. The best example for this are the methanogens, which are present in the gut of ruminant animals, and they are responsible for the production of methane gas. Eubacteria can also be called as true bacteria and because of the rigid cell wall and flagella. The common example is cyanobacteria, which are photosynthetic, unicellular, filamentous. These can be either in freshwater, marine or terrestrial. The next type is chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. These bacteria help in oxidizing the inorganic substances from the atmosphere. The last type is heterotrophic bacteria. These act as decomposers and help in making curd from milk and production of antibiotics, etc. So let's see a very common example of eubacteria, that is nostoc. This is a diagrammatic representation of a nostoc. We can see the gelatinous sheath across the entire organism. There are specialized cells present in this. These basically grow in the polluted water. Now these specialized cells, they fix nitrogen. Let's begin with the structure of bacteria. This is the diagrammatic representation for the structure of bacteria. Let's begin with each of these. Flagella, which is a locomotory organ for the bacteria and helps in the movement of bacteria in forward and backward movement. Next is the plasmid. Plasmid is the extra chromosomal material present in the bacteria. Nucleoid. Now the nucleoid contains the genetic material of the bacteria, but the nucleoid is not surrounded by the nuclear membrane as prokaryotes are absent are having absence of nuclear membrane. Second, ribosomes. These ribosomes are the protein synthesizing factory. Now these ribosomes are of two subunits, large subunit and small subunit. In prokaryotes, the ribosomes are 70S. The S stands for Swedberg unit or sedimentation coefficient. Now the largest subunit is 50S and the smaller subunit is 30S. Next, inclusions. These are never bounded with a membrane and hence act as a storage vesicle. Mesosomes. As you can see, it is a part of plasma membrane. It is an invagination found in the plasma membrane across the bacterial cells, which increases the surface area of plasma membrane. Moving on to pili. These pili connect between two bacteria during conjugation process, which is a type of a reproduction and helps the genetic material to get transferred from one bacterial cell to another bacterial cell. Cytoplasm is where all the organelles carry out their necessary process for the survival of the bacterial cell. Cell wall will discuss in detail. Glycocalyx is the outermost layer present on the bacteria. The glycocalyx can be composed on the basis of two different types, capsule and slime wall. The capsule, since it is made up of polysaccharides, it is rigid and present evenly all over the bacteria. But slime wall is not even, it is irregularly placed or unevenly distributed over the bacteria. The glycocalyx protects the bacteria from the host organism. Moving on to the cell wall composition of Archaebacteria in detail. Now Archaebacteria, since it lives in the extreme conditions, there are different cell wall which is observed. It contains a surface layer which is absent in the eukaryotic bacteria. Now these S layer can be of different types as follows. I have given the diagrammatic representation for easier understanding. The first type is the S layer or the surface layer is present above the plasma membrane. The purpley shaded is the S layer and the red shaded is the plasma membrane. The second type contains the protein sheath above the S layer. The third type you can see is it contains a methanochondrion sheath over the surface layer. The fourth type is pseudomurine layer. That is, pseudomurine is similar to peptidoglycan layer, but it is not exactly, the composition is not known. We have observed that it shows similar properties to peptidoglycan. So hence the name pseudomurine layer which is present below the S layer. The fifth type is the polysaccharide layer instead of the S layer. In the fifth type, the S layer is absent and only the polysaccharide layer is present. Moving on to eubacteria. These are already known as true bacteria, as we all know. On the basis of cell wall composition, eubacteria is of two types, the gram-positive and gram-negative. The gram-positive, the example is Staphylococcus aureus, and gram-negative is E. coli. This is how a Staphylococcus aureus looks like. As we can see, it is spherical shaped. It is a cocci type of bacteria. And gram-negative bacteria, the example is E. coli, and it is a rod-shaped bacteria. We can see that with the flagella. Now, in practicals, as we know, gram-positive and gram-negative can also be differentiated under the microscope on the basis of color. Whereas the gram-positive bacteria, due to the presence of their cell wall components, it absorbs and makes a complex with the crystal violet solution, forming a crystal violet complex, and hence it retains the purple color. Whereas the gram-negative does not show the similar components as the gram-negative cell wall, gram-positive cell wall. It does not retain the crystal violet complex, and hence due to the safranin stain used in the process, it shows pink color. It is easy to differentiate on the basis of color the gram-positive and the gram-negative cell wall. Moving on to the differences between gram-positive and gram-negative cell walls. Gram-positive contains high peptidoglycan layer. It has low phospholipids, little or absence of periplasmic space, and the presence of teichoic acids. The teichoic acids is responsible for the virulence in the gram-positive bacteria. Gram-negative, it shows low peptidoglycan layer and shows higher phospholipids, higher periplasmic space, and it shows presence of lipopolysaccharides. In gram-negative bacteria, the reason for virulence is lipopolysaccharides. We'll study these structures in detail. This is how the diagram of cell wall looks like. In gram-positive cell wall, we can see that there is two types of teichoic acid present. The walled teichoic acid and the lipid teichoic acids. The difference between these is the lipid teichoic acid occurs or it begins from the lipid membrane or the plasma membrane, we can say. The walled teichoic acid occurs or it begins from the walls of the peptidoglycan layers. The peptidoglycan layers are high in number in the gram-positive cell wall, and we can see that there is a very little space in the periplasmic space in the gram-positive cell wall, whereas in gram-negative cell wall we can see there is high periplasmic space between the plasma membrane and the outer membrane. There are even porine proteins present on the outer membrane which help to channelize the movement of proteins. The lipopolysaccharide is present from the peptidoglycan, which is present in a very few amount, but it comes out of the outer membrane. Now there are three components of the lipopolysaccharide. The first one is the sugar base. Upon the sugar base there is a sugar core. Upon the sugar core there is presence of O polysaccharide or O antigen. Now this lipopolysaccharide is very important for the virulence of the gram-negative cell wall. Structure of peptidoglycan layer. Peptidoglycan or a murin is a polymer that consists of sugar and amino acid and forms a mesh-like layer outside the plasma membrane. Now we'll study in detail about the components of peptidoglycan. The first one is sugar. Now the sugar consists of NAM and NAG. NAM is N-acetyl-muramic acid and NAG is N-acetyl-glucosamine. The second one is a peptide. Now in peptide it consists of 5 amino acids, that is L-alanine, L-glutamic acid, diaminopyruvic acid, and 2 molecules of D-alanine. The third one is the beta-1,4 glycosidic bond and the fourth one is the glycine. Now this components of peptidoglycan is seen in the gram-positive cell wall. There is a slight change in the gram-negative cell wall. That is, the third amino acid which we have seen in the peptide bond is lysine and not diaminopyruvic acid. The diagram of peptidoglycan layers, we can see it is a cross linkage between NAM and NAG. See, the blue line indicates the glycine bond which is made in the peptidoglycan layer. This is how a NAM and NAG cross linkaging looks like. Let's study the synthesis of cell wall in detail. There are 3 major steps in the synthesis of cell wall. First one is synthesis of precursor. Elongation and transfer is the second step, and third step is cross-linking. This is the first step, synthesis of precursor. So since N-acetyl-glucosamine should be our end product, it is synthesized from glucose. glucose to fructose 6-phosphate is converted, and upon the glutamine addition of amino acid, we get glucosamine 6-phosphate as a product. Now once glucosamine 6-phosphate as a product is formed, it combines with acetyl-CoA and forms N-acetyl glucosamine 6-phosphate. So upon isomerization, we get the compound N-acetyl glucosamine. Now this process occurs in the cytosol, that is cytoplasm. After this, upon the removal of uridine thiophosphate, a UDP-NAG is formed. Once UDP-NAG is formed, upon the enzyme enol pyruvate synthase, and it uses phosphophenol pyruvate to form UDP-NAG as a compound. Second step is the elongation and transfer. In elongation and transfer, there is a small chemical present as bactoprenol. Now this is a chemical that has certain receptors present for NAM and NAG specifically. So when it will be transporting, it carries NAM and NAG individually to the membrane formation. Now this will occur with the help of peptidoglycan synthase, and this keeps the chain forming in the cell wall. This bactoprenol is a very limited amount of chemical, and hence it has to be recycled very frequently by the enzyme peptidase. The third step is cross-linking. The transferase enzyme will synthesize the peptide which further links between NAM and NAG. This is the synthesis of cell wall. Thank you for watching. If you like my video, share, subscribe to my channel Agent Biology.